What's up, everybody? My name is Jesse Durham. I am here today in the Cash Compound headquarters where we teach people about saving and spending money at the same time. I know that there are going to be some folks that I'm aware that'll be joining me in the chat and in the viewership because we've been having conversations today, been helping clients, been helping prospects, been talking with other great professionals in the space. But again, my name is Jesse Durham. I'm here in Greenville, South Carolina at the Cash Compound headquarters. We are here to talk about policies. We are here to talk about saving and spending money at the same time. And we are doing that through the lens of what you can learn about for yourself from this original source material, this book called Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. Actually, earlier today was having a great conversation about this same book being in Spanish, which is pretty cool. Conviértete en tu propio banquero. It's a little difficult for me to toggle back and forth between the Spanish and the English, but there you go. I'm going to be practicing it more and more. What's up, David? See you joining on YouTube. Okay, let's put this out there real quick. I'm going to be talking about personal finance, infinite banking, whole life insurance, money, goals, questions, everything involved in that whole category. So I'm ready for questions. I'm ready for feedback. Let me know where you're at in your journey, all those things. We can make this as much of a dialogue as you would like, but I would like to hear where you are tuning in from. That's always cool for me. I see you, David. I see you, Jake. Appreciate you being here. What's up? Good afternoon, buddy. I'm here to field a conversation, but I would like to know where you are coming in from. If you're catching us on the replay, we can get back to you in the comment section, of course. And you can always just go to the links in the description for contact. So you could have what we offer, which is a free private consultation call, one-on-one with one of our coaches. Could be me, could be somebody else from the team here. Jonah and Jadu are traveling today. They are out of state. They're in Colorado at a mastermind event. So we just got a lot of things going on because we're out here actually helping people, actually traveling, actually teaching, actually going live to help you know about this concept and to improve this concept if you've already implemented it. Folks like Jake, folks like David, how to save and spend money at the exact same time. So when you sound off where you're tuning in from, feel free to share a nugget if you've already implemented this concept. Some aha moment from the book, some aha moment from your own personal application of the concept, some aha moment or a question. I love fielding questions here, but let's briefly talk about the concept at a high level. Everybody knows that we show up to work, whatever that looks like. For some, it's you're showing up to the 9 to 5, you have an employment somewhere, you're working hard for your money. Blue collar, white collar, doesn't matter. Okay. Some of us out here, it's business. We're showing up in our business and making our way that way. But it's to provide value to other people so that we can earn an income. So first and foremost, I was on a conversation earlier today speaking with single mom, and protection came up. Providing protection for our children. So see, that's where this idea of a policy, you can't really see this really well, but the point here is that a policy, and when I will be talking about a policy, I'm going to be talking specifically about a whole life insurance policy that's been properly designed and structured and built for the individual. A place where that individual can, again, number one, get protection. Whole life insurance provides a guaranteed death benefit. Okay, people know that much typically about life insurance. There's a death benefit. Well, with whole life insurance, you get to have that death benefit for your whole life. Not all policies are the same. Not all insurance is the same. Whole life insurance, something that predates the IRS, okay, just speaking to its longevity, speaking to how traditional of a financial entity that it is. It predates the tax code. It predates the IRS. Life insurance as a whole predates America. Pretty cool to wrap your mind around. But a policy is going to give you protection. All right. In the event that I graduate this earth today, in the event that I pass today, number one, first and foremost, I know guaranteed it's a legally binding contract. My wife and children are going to have a lot of financial resources because of the protection that I put in place. The other concept that I was able to discuss with the individual that I was speaking with earlier today was provision. Okay, so I think these are really top of mind for parents. So maybe I'll be speaking to parents in a moment. That's what I'm doing, is reliving that conversation where I'm talking about protection and provision, okay, for the here and now, and how you can actually use a whole life insurance policy to do that. So a policy, when it's a whole life insurance policy, it's a contract that has that guaranteed protection for your whole life, but it also has a value today. There is a net present day value to a whole life insurance policy. Now, when it's properly structured for the purpose of actively banking, okay, meaning I actively, on purpose, intentionally want to be putting more and more of that income that I'm earning, okay, into, I keep knocking my mic here. Hopefully that's not jarring y'all's ears. I want to put more and more of my income into this policy contract. Okay. Now, what is that? That's premiums. Okay. We pay premiums to own a policy, to have a policy, that protection and that provision that I'm getting ready to speak to as well. So I, on purpose, intentionally, starting 10 years ago, knew that I wanted to take as much of my income as possible to get started and start building that protection in that policy contract. And then also, because that policy was built a certain way, is from a certain company, built a certain way by a certain financial professional, and that's going to be an insurance agent. And not all companies, not all policies, not all agents are built the same. Okay. But I wanted to, on purpose, put capital, put money, put income as premiums into that policy that I was going to own for my whole life, that was going to have protection for my family, that was going to be handed off to my family when I graduate. Now, real quick statistic here. Did you know that 100 out of 100 Americans die? Did you know that? I'm being a little facetious, a little comical to myself, if nobody else. 100 out of 100 Americans die. So if leaving some kind of financial legacy is important to us, why not have whole life insurance, since it'll be a guaranteed protection, a guaranteed income tax-free windfall to that next generation? Just quick, one more iteration right there about the protection piece. But the other thing about the right kind of policy from the right kind of company, built by the right kind of agent, the value of that policy today provides me with the access to capital. So a couple of things are going on at the same time. So while I take income, and I'm trying to do this visually for those of you that are on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, everywhere else that's following us. Okay. The cash that I'm paying is premium income. Putting my income into this policy provides that protection, that death benefit. But also, the more income that I put into this policy contract, the more valuable it gets. Now, since this is a private piece of property, I, as the owner of this whole life insurance policy, can leverage it. I can call the insurance company up and say, hey, it's me, Jesse from North Carolina. And once I validate who I am over the phone or through an email, okay, you can do this online as well. I call a lot of the time. Once I validate, yep, I'm Jesse from North Carolina, it's me, I can say, I want a policy loan. Now, if you got a question about that, we can do a deep dive right there. But the point is I have a guaranteed access to capital from the insurance company. All right. So that's separate from what I have going on in the policy. See, by me paying premiums to the whole life insurance policy, it's going to continue to grow and compound uninterrupted. I'm not going to interrupt that. I'm not going to stop that. I'm not going to impede that. Every month, every year, I pay premiums into, I have 7 policies so far. Again, I've said I've implemented this concept for going on 10 years now. I don't want to interrupt the compounding that's taking place in the policy contract, but as the private owner of this private piece of property, I can leverage it. So I can call the insurance company up and say, hey, it's me, Jesse from North Carolina. I want a policy loan. I want you to send me money. And it could be for whatever. Maybe we'll get to that more in a second. But the insurance company is going to ask me a couple of questions. All right. Well, how much of what's available do you want us to send to you? And do you want a check in the mail or a direct deposit to the bank account we have on file? And I tell them those 2 things, and they just send the money at the high level. Okay. 30,000 foot view, understanding this concept of why life insurance and how it works, et cetera. They're just going to send the money. Now, to address that first point of, well, Jesse, of how much that's available, how much do you want us to send? And then I tell them, and then they send it. Well, what determines what's available? Well, the value of the contract. What determines the value of the contract? Well, how much money did I put into it? How much capital have I been capitalizing in this policy contract? Okay. So every dollar that I pay in premium grows and compounds for my, and again, I'm going to say it, whole life. So the value of this private piece of property just continues to go up. So if I call tomorrow, I'm going to have more available in cash value than I had today. If I call next year, when I call next year, right? Because I practice what I preach. I use my policies for the things that we do in life. Here, let me go ahead and say, and you folks that are joining me, you can let me know too if you'd like, and you could do it as generically as you would like. How have you used, because I know that there are some clients and there are some other practicing individuals tuning in. How have you used policy loans? Me, my family, because I'm married and have 3 children. 4th is on the way. Baby boy, we're expecting him right between Thanksgiving and Christmas. This is 2025 at the time of this recording. Very exciting time for us. We have used policy loans for everything from real estate business that we've done, paying property taxes, financing our family vacations. We have used policy loans for financing a family wedding. We have used policy, and a lot of this you can find. So one easy place to find me where I've spoken about these types of things is at durhamtalents.com, or you can just look me up online. YouTube's a great place. Of course, that's the main place, Jesse W. Durham. And I just share, I get video content for this information. Thank you, Freda. I appreciate that. Congratulations. And thank you for being here. Appreciate that very much. Love to get any feedback on where you're at in your infinite banking journey, what questions you may have. But thank you very much. I've shared this information in video content and form, and you can see me and my wife, our children, how we've used these policies and policy loans, etc. So feel free to check that out. All right, Jake's given some feedback. Renovations, vacations, paying off some debt. I love it. That's actually how me and my wife got started. So when I bought my first policy, when I actually decided, hey, I'm going to take some of my income and I'm going to put it in a whole life contract. I'm going to pay premiums, significant premiums for us at that time. It was a considerable percentage of our income that we decided to dedicate as premiums into policies because I wanted the value to be big right away. In that first year, I wanted a value big enough that I would be able to leverage money from the policy administrator, which is the insurance company, to go out and pay off debt that I had in my life. So up to that point, up till I was 30 years old, my wife and I had done the typical thing. We both were working. Okay. We were that dual income family, both had our careers. We had gone to college. Both of us had 4-year degrees, but financially speaking, behind the curtain, here's where we sat. We owed on the family car. We owed on credit cards. We owed on our student loans. So we were tens of thousands of dollars in debt. We had about $50,000 in debt at the time of learning about this concept of becoming your own banker and what it could look like for you to save and spend money because of owning whole life insurance policies. And we decided to begin that first policy, pay premium, pay money from our incomes into policies to be able to leverage and go out and pay off those student loans, go out and pay off that family car that we had at the time. Since then, actually, we've financed our another family car as of this year. Yeah, this year's going by crazy fast. It's ridiculous. I've got a video on my channel as well about that, about how we bought our last car using our system of policies. You should check it out. Just normal life stuff, right? Stuff like what Jake's talking about, stuff like what David's talking about, a wedding, college planning. Yes, all of the above. It's so cool. I appreciate y'all putting your comments there. I appreciate that very much. But there's video content there. I'm trying to verbally describe it here. I appreciate y'all for sounding off, saying how you have used. Freda, if you're still with us, I haven't heard from you. Love to hear if you either have a question, maybe you've not implemented this concept yet, maybe you've not yet read this Becoming Your Own Banker book, but maybe you've been watching some of our stuff. Maybe you're already a client. I don't know. Let me know if you have a question. I'm happy to field that here, while I'm also just trying to be an open book with y'all, share some of my personal experience. And of course, I appreciate everybody else that's signing off here. Now, I'm seeing YouTube in particular. I know that we're on Facebook right now live. I know that and you might be catching the replay there, Instagram live. One place where you might be catching this on the replay, and a place where I'm going to tell everybody that is tuned in here live, a great place for you to find out more information about the cash compound, about becoming your own banker, about infinite banking, whole life policies, paying premiums, how to use policies, etc., is on Facebook. So if you have Facebook, I would encourage you to go to the group, look us up. We have a great community at Infinite Bankers. So just go to Facebook. We're a private community. We'll let you in. We're just going to verify that you're a human being at the onset, ask you a couple of questions, of course. But it's a great community, Infinite Bankers. That's another place where folks are sharing how they're using policies. Folks are asking questions and getting a spectrum of answers, which is really cool to be able to hear from several people at once if you do have a question. So it's a great place. I would encourage you to connect with us there. All right. Freda says, I just bought the book. Oh, yeah. And looking to learn more. Beautiful. So I'll share a bit more about my experience. Thanks for hanging out with us, Freda. Ask any questions about what you have already picked up on, or you maybe not sure about. But my strongest recommendation is just keep doing what you're already doing. Get in that book. I've implemented this concept for 10 years now. I help people professionally all across the country implement this concept. I reread this book. Again, I bought it in Spanish because I do speak Spanish. This is going to be great Spanish practice for me. And also, it's just a great way for me to reevaluate the same message, but look at it from a different perspective. So I typically reread the Becoming Your Own Banker book at least once a year. So it's something worth revisiting. Nelson in the book actually says that it's all about how you think. So I appreciate folks like you, David, Jake. Y'all are already on the way. Freda, you're vetting the concept. You're beginning your journey. Folks that are willing to keep coming back and leveling up, scaling what it is that you've started, improve what it is that you've started, seek out quality conversations and time where you're dedicating to your self-improvement and education. So I want to commend all of y'all for being here. I appreciate it. When I got started, Freda, I'll speak to you again for just a moment, and I'll keep an eye on the comments if you have a question or a comment. Appreciate you being here. When I saw a video in person, so I saw a live presentation. Now, video content's the way that a presentation is conveyed, of course, a lot of the times, but I speak at live events as well. I saw a live presentation where somebody else had paid off right at $1 million in debt. Blew my mind. I said, well, if that guy paid off $1 million in debt, of course I could pay off my student loans and, my credit cards and my family card. So I'm going to do this. This is the way that I want to do things. I want to be able to privatize anything that I can privatize, put more control back in that's what I want. That appealed to me, that independence, that autonomy. Everybody says they want financial independence. Infinite banking is actually how to go out and do it. It's actually the method. It's actually the paradigm. It's actually the system and the structure on how to bring that to fruition. Anyway, so I saw where somebody else had paid off $1 million, saw that I could pay off our debt as well. But then I also saw those other aspects at the same time that I've already mentioned. Wait, you're saying that I could save my money somewhere where I've got guarantees? Like it's a guaranteed death benefit? It's a guaranteed cash value? I'm guaranteed to earn dividends if that company is profitable, and they have been. Quick note, by the way, the insurance companies that I own policies with and that I write policies with, they've every single one of them, paid consecutive dividends for over the past 100 years without missing a beat. Y'all, do you realize that that's longer than me and Jake and David have been alive combined? Like, these insurance companies have been profitable and providing these death benefits and these cash values for a long time. Incredible to think about. So I get all those guarantees. Do you mean that when I take policy loans, that's tax-free access to capital? And all in a private way where I'm not having to fill out, a mountain of paperwork. I'm not having to ask somebody's permission for access to capital. It's just I have a guaranteed contractual right to access capital because I own this private piece of property. It's amazing. It's fantastic. Let me let me pause and actually answer y'all's and respond to your comments. Jake's suggestion is to read the book 3 times. Oh, he said this is what he did, and it probably is a good suggestion. Read the book 3 times. Listen to the audio version, also very cool, 2 times in your first year of implementing the IBC. Beautiful. I love that, Jake. And you and I get to have regular conversations, which is awesome. Regular contributor in that Facebook community that I was talking about, Infinite Bankers. Happy to have you as a friend and a client, buddy, and appreciate you being here. So, what else can I maybe answer? What direction maybe would you like to see us go, Freda? I'm talking at a high level so far, sharing my insights from my own personal experience, what me and my family have personally done, and then also speaking in some professional context on how we obviously go live and educate on this subject every week, Thursdays, 12 o'clock Eastern time. We provide free private consultation calls to clients and prospective clients. Doesn't cost anything to get on our calendar. Doesn't cost anything to be able to have a conversation about what are your goals? What are your aspirations? Where are you at financially? Where do you want to be financially? What are your questions as you make your way through the book, Freda, or anybody else? What do we need to be able to hash out? Because I'll tell you what, I loved a lot when I read this book. And some of it did make sense. Like I can tell you right out of the gate, the first part of the book, beautifully written, so simple, so straightforward. But do y'all know that a lot of the simple things in life, not just finances, but a lot of the simple things in life, they're summed up in this saying, which is what's easy to do is easy not to do, right? So just because something is simple, just because something's easy, doesn't mean that we're going to do it. I'll give you a prime example. So growing up, can y'all believe I was one of 11 kids growing up? If that surprises you, if you didn't know that, you can tell me. I was one of 11 kids growing up. So we were never on time to anything. Okay. We were always showing up late. Now I'm mentioning this not just arbitrarily, but because it's the first human problem that Nelson talks about in the book, which is called Parkinson's law. So Parkinson came up with this law where he said, well, when people earn money, the natural human tendency, the natural human trajectory or habit is to spend it all. Okay. Now, when it comes to time, the natural human tendency is, well, if you've got a week allotted to you to be able to accomplish any given task, normally we take 6 days, 23 hours, and 59 minutes and 59 seconds to be able to complete that task or that objective. Normally, we're just going to use every single ounce, every single second, every single bit of that time. So me and my family were late. Okay. So as a husband and as a father and as a businessman, I decided pretty early on, well, I want to be on time. In fact, being on time for me means being early. Like I want my children that when we show up only a few minutes before the event and there are some cars in the parking lot already, they're saying, Dad, are we late? Because they're just expecting the parking lot to be virtually empty when we get to a place. Just changing that paradigm. Okay, so what does that mean, or how does that translate financially? Well, again, if most people are earning whatever they're earning, now y'all think about this, and I'll challenge you, David. I know you're already on your journey. Jake, I know you're already on your journey. Freda, I challenge you to take a moment here and think about this with me. How much did you earn last year? Everybody that's tuning in on this replay, I'll give you a second. What's the number? Don't put it in the comment section, y'all. I'm just asking you to think about this. What did you earn last year? Okay. Even the folks that proactively wait, 6 months to file taxes because you understand things and you're wanting the most use of your money for as long as possible before you have to pay Uncle Sam a dime. That's already taken place. You had your 6 months, right? Think about what you earned last year. And then the second question I think should be, how much of that, what dollar amount or what percentage did we keep? Okay. Now I know we got to spend. I know that we've got to use money, and we do use money. But remember here, we teach people to save and spend at the same time. How much did you earn last year? How much did you keep? Did you keep 10%? Did you hang on to half of it? None of it? A lot of it? Like, where are you at? Just gauge that for yourself, right? What's up, JD? I see you commenting. I guess that's going to be on Instagram, tuning in from Denver. Love it, man. Y'all are going to have a great event, I know, because you're there emceeing it. It's going to be a good time. And the subject matter, right? Leveling up, becoming your own banker, leveling up, saving and spending money at the same time. Beautiful. Appreciate hearing from you on Instagram. How much money did you make? How much of your money did you keep? Again, we here at the Cash Compound, we say, whatever you earn, the number one rule that you should consider is paying yourself, right? If you're the one that went out and earned all that you earn, before the gas people and the grocery people and the vacation people and the tax people and all those, before they get your income, shouldn't you pay yourself first? Well, you got to answer that for yourself. I would suggest you consider it. Okay. And when you say, well, yeah, I do want to pay myself first, or Jesse, I do already pay myself first. I put money in a money market. I put some savings in a high yield savings account. I put some under the master, like whatever. Okay. It does then beg the question, right? Like that's the next natural question is, well, where should we pay ourselves first? So I'm going to talk more about that in a second. Where should we pay ourselves first? But let me go back to the comments, because there are some great points being dropped by David. David saying Austrian economics. Thankfully, because I learned about becoming your own banker first. I know this isn't the same for some of you rare people out there. Some of y'all learned about Austrian economics and then you learned about infinite banking. It was the opposite for me. I learned about infinite banking, and then that led me to learn about what this Austrian economics school of thought is. I would encourage everybody. And Nelson, at the end of his book, he has some recommended reading, which I think is pretty insightful. We get to see what influenced Nelson, what impacted the guy that wrote this book, which for me is like the financial foundation of everything that I do in life. He shares what books he read. He shares what books he would encourage us to read and to consider. And there's a lot in there from Austrian economists. So I appreciate that being brought up, David. And then you got a quote there. Yeah, it's not how much you make, but how much you keep. That's so good. Okay. So if we can answer that for ourselves and say, yep, I want to keep more of what I earn, I am going to pay myself first. Where should I do that? Should it be that high yield savings account? What are the pros there? All right. Because I talk with folks on the regular and they'll say, well, Jesse, I like it because I can get to it. And that's a good point. That's a really good point. The liquidity, being able to get to money fast. I call it 15-minute money. Everybody should have some 15-minute money, right? Meaning in 15 minutes, I could go to the local bank or credit union. I could money to the mattress, whatever. I could get to some amount of money in 15 minutes. That's great. But for everything beyond that, where you build your war chest, where you build your capital, where you build your wealth, where you build your savings. Notice I have not said investing. Okay. You can invest from a whole life insurance policy. You could leverage a whole life policy to have some access to capital, to go out and make your investments or do business? Sure, of course. But so far, I'm just talking about where you save money, where you build wealth, where you build capital, where you keep money, not put it at risk like may happen to investing. Okay. There's risk with investing. With savings, there should not be risk. There are a lot of advantages to doing that in a policy rather than anywhere else. So you get liquidity just like you would get in a high yield savings account. You get that in a whole life insurance policy. You get growth. Okay, Jesse, well, I like my high yield savings account. I like my money market account because the bank's giving me 4.5 or whatever they're giving you, right? Quick side note, I'm not a tax expert. This isn't tax advice, but that's taxable growth, right? That's yes, there's interest that the bank will pay you if you leave your money parked there, sitting there for them to go out and make all kinds of great money off of your money. A lot more than they're paying you. They're paying you a pittance of gain if they are paying you. And then it's also taxed on top of that. And oh, by the way, you certainly don't have leverage. You can't you can't earn that taxed growth and also take money from that place at the same time. That's not happening. But see, by having a policy, I get all of that. I get liquidity. Remember, 2 questions. I call the insurance company where I own a policy. They're going to ask me 2 questions. All right, Mr. Durham for North Carolina, how much of what's available do you want us to send to you? Do you want a check in the mail or do you want a direct deposit? Tell us. We'll do it. We'll send it. That's it. Okay. Liquid. Yeah. Now it's not 15-minute money. Okay. But it's not 15-month money either. Okay. It is liquid. Okay. That is a leverageable asset. I get liquidity because of owning that asset. I get growth, but I get access to that growth tax-free. The growth that happens within a policy has tax advantages, and we can leverage that growth tax-free. So I get all those benefits of liquidity, growth, but access to that growth in a tax-free fashion. And again, oh, by the way, what is the collateral at the end of the day to this asset? What's backing this asset up that even in the worst case scenario, which would be I die, okay? In the worst case scenario, if I die, the bank's just going to give my family whatever was in the bank, right? Well, when I die, that whole life insurance policy is going to pay out the full death benefit, which I mean, I've been building what's significant for me, 7 plus figures of a death benefit that'll go income tax free to my beneficiaries. So significant. And there are other advantages, but again, let me pause right here because I'm trying to pour into y'all, but let me also address your feedback here. So Jake's saying, looked at your check stub last night. Good. You're giving me feedback there. And you just shook your head, wishing I would have started years ago. So I'm glad that you actually went through that exercise. I mean, I understand it. I remember those days. I used to be a teacher in the state of North Carolina. I used to be a law enforcement officer in the state of North Carolina. I've done a few other things before, professionally speaking, and we're all doing different things here, right? Everybody that's in on this conversation today. We earn how we earn. But I don't think that we typically really look at, okay, because we're busy, we're husbands, we're fathers, we're business. Like there's so many distractions. There are so many reasons why people wouldn't want us to actually pay attention to what's going on here. Okay. But when we look at, what we've got to represent for how hard we've worked, I think that things for a lot of people, if we do take the time to look at that, we feel immediately that things are not matching up. I should be further along than I feel like I am when I actually look at things. I'll give you another bit of feedback. Again, not advice, just a reflection from my own experience. When I saw a presentation on infinite banking back in 2015, I was encouraged to consider some things about my government qualified plans. Because while my wife and I were in debt, owed on the car, owed on the credit cards, owed on the student loans, all that, we were also still at the same time putting our hard-earned income into places that we did not understand. We were contributing into our 401ks and other plans, et cetera. Okay. I was challenged in 2015. Jesse, here are the 2 questions, the 2 challenges that I got. Jesse, I'll bet All right. Speaking specifically about a 401k, because that's what I had. I'll bet maybe you know two things. Maybe. Okay. Maybe you know if your overall number went up or down last quarter because you checked the mail. Maybe you know that. And the gentleman was right. I actually did know that because I opened my mail. I looked at those statements once a quarter. And I knew, now we went down this quarter. We went up this quarter. What right? The roller coaster ride, right? I did know that though, actually. And then the next challenge was, well, I'll bet that you might also know, maybe, whether you have that 401k on a mild, moderate, or an aggressive mode, investment mode. And he was right there. I did know that. But then here came the gut punch, right? And he said, "I bet you don't know anything." He used a different word there. "I'll bet you don't know anything else about it." And he was right. I didn't, and I felt very proactive. Hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I work hard. I'm pursuing, more certificates and qualifications in my field. We're growing as a family, but again, like financially speaking, behind the curtain, we're in debt. We're putting money in places that we don't really control or know what that's going to do for us, especially 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now. Somebody goes and gets that teaching degree in school education degree and walks in on a teaching job, age 22, and they go out and they work for the next 30, 40 years. Do we know what that's going to look like? No. And again, I'm not saying invest, don't invest. I'm not saying that. I'm saying be aware. I'm saying consider things for yourself. Where do you have control? Where do you have access? Where do you have growth? Can you have liquidity? Can you have leverage? Can you have protection? And I just happened to find all those things in whole life insurance policies where I decide how much premium I pay. I decide that. I get to pick a death benefit amount that I want to pay for. So I get to have the protection that I want. And on that point, I think everybody should be as protected as you possibly can be protected. Okay. I love pointing out to folks as soon as possible, hey, according to the insurance company, all right, your age, your gross income, your net worth, et cetera, this is what's available to you. You can protect yourself to the max. All right. You have kids, you're married, you have obligations. Like, here's what's available to you. I think it's important for people to know that. If you don't know that, all right, everybody who's still tuned in, and I know some of you are, okay. I work with some of y'all, okay, but I don't know who all is turning in. I would encourage everybody. This is something worth revisiting every year. What am I even eligible for? Whoever you're working with, if you're not working with somebody, you're learning about this concept, I'm happy to have this conversation with you. We privately work one-on-one with our clients and prospective clients, okay, to know this stuff, to find this stuff out, and to have a customized plan for yourself. I think everybody should know what's available to them, and then figure out how much of that would you like to acquire right now? How much protection would you like to acquire? Not today, like there's a process, but today, like how much protection do you want? Okay. For yourself. And that's something that we do for folks. So that's something that I get with whole life insurance is that protection. I forgot where I was originally going. I got distracted by that because I think it's such a key point. I didn't know to consider that stuff. Even when I got started in infinite banking, I was not aware then. It actually took me some years of implementing the concept before that fact even got on my radar that, oh, I'm eligible for a certain amount of income. How much of that do I want? And I'll go ahead and tell you where I'm at this year. So this year, 2025. Now this is a moving target for me and you and everybody. It's a moving target. I was trying to say, reevaluate this every year, with whoever you're working with, or if you want to connect with us, let's talk, let's have that conversation. Let's come up with a plan. But this year I turned 40. So if anybody else wants to congratulate me, you can put that in the comment section too. I'm not looking for it, but it's one of those ages that stuck out in my mind of, hey, I've got my fourth baby on the way this year. I'm turning 40. I need to reevaluate that. And I saw that more was available to me this year. And I got another policy because you can have more than one policy on yourself. And you should, over the course of time. Again, I've implemented this concept for 10 years. You should be building a system of policies. Think about banks here. If you've never thought about this, real quick, don't banks have multiple branches? They're down in Florida. They're here in South Carolina. They're opening up branches left and right. Well, we do the same thing. We just do it privately with these policy contracts. I own 7 to date so far. My most recent one bought me another $1 million in death benefit. I wanted to maximize my insurability, and I did this year. So that was just a big personal goal that I put out there for myself. Okay, 4th baby on the way, turning 40 years old. Let's get another policy. Let's add to the system and actually max out the protection. I mean, I wanted to have as much protection as possible. But what does that mean? Well, that means that I've grown my system. That means I have more access to capital. Let me pause here. Again, depending on where you're at in your journey, I'm here for questions. I'm here for feedback. I'm here to help facilitate what it is that you'd like to know more about protecting your income, protecting your family, providing for your need of capital in the future. Everybody knows we're gonna need more money in the future, right? Like what's ahead of us from here on out? Don't we want to keep taking vacations? Don't we want to keep buying cars, using cars? Don't we want to maybe make some investments, run our business, and have more financial control there? Don't we want to provide for passive income later in life? So lots of things, legacy. And then for those people that are really thinking long range, man, do we want to do something that's going to impact our great grandchildren? Some folks that we might not even get to meet in our family tree. So to be able to accomplish all of that. But let me pause right here. Again, depending on where you're at in your journey, if like Frida, you've not got the book or got into the book, I would encourage you to do that. Get this book, Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. One direct way to be able to get a hold of this book and make sure that you've got the authentic book is to go to infinitebanking.org. That's infinitebanking.org. You can get the book there for yourself. We also have a link in our descriptions on our website, and et cetera, where you could get a copy if you're an Amazon user. If you can find us because you're on Facebook and connect with us at Infinite Bankers, our private Facebook community, where we're connecting with individuals on their infinite banking journey, that's a great place. But then otherwise in the comment section, I'm here for it. What else would y'all like me to discuss? What have I not asked or brought to your attention that you wish somebody would? And while I'm waiting for that, you should be able to see on Instagram, on YouTube, we are putting the link for our Facebook group in the comment section. Jadu still sounding off. Now he's on YouTube. Good to see you, Jadu. You are welcome, sir. Happy to be here furthering the discussion about saving and spending money at the same time, about implementing this infinite banking concept. I am typically going to be here to the top of the hour. My next call, I just had a great podcast interview right before this live, and I've got another consultation call after this one. I mean, I'm actually having conversations with folks today that have either already implemented this concept and they're looking to level up, or they've not yet implemented the concept, and we're providing a consultation call to come up with a strategic, comprehensive plan on how to save money, spend money more efficiently. Infinite banking, one of the things that I saw in the beginning, 2015, I'm sitting in a room, bunch of strangers, some people I know, bunch of strangers as well. One thing that I saw was a structure for efficiency. That was one of the big things that I was able to recognize right away. I didn't know it all right away. I was just learning about something, right? It's like watching the Matrix movie for the first time. I tell people often enough, learning about infinite banking for me was like watching the Matrix movie for the first time. But what I did see was structure. I don't know about y'all, but I did not have a lot of money conversations growing up. I did not learn about money from the school that I went to. I did not learn about money in college either. When I furthered my education, didn't happen. I pursued a lot of professional development in all the careers that I've ever been in, always have. most recently for me, this is pretty cool. Most recently for me, professionally speaking, I have gone through the authorized practitioner program with the Nelson Nash Institute. The guy that came up with this whole concept, codified it, discovered it, wrote the book about it, seminared on the subject. He's got an institute. He's since passed, but he developed an institute, the Nelson Nash Institute, since. So I've always sought to improve myself and better myself. But I didn't learn about money when I was advancing my career in law enforcement or in high school Spanish education. That's what it was a Spanish teacher at the high school level. Didn't learn about money there. Didn't learn about money at home. Didn't learn very much about money at church, other than looking out for other people, being charitable, being loving. That's a great thing. That's a wonderful thing. And home, the credit there should be about working hard. I learned about working hard for money, but I did not get structure on managing cash flow, keeping cash flow, growing cash flow, perpetuating cash flow to future generations. And interestingly enough, biblically, I learned that concept. There's a passage in the Holy Bible that says a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. I knew that. I was aware of that verse. I was aware of that idea. And I thought, what a beautiful concept. I would like to do that, but I didn't have a structure on how to do that. So I'd never learned about money outside of working hard and being kind to others, all right, giving charitably to your church, to the poor, etc. I didn't learn anything about money other than those two things. Now, y'all let me know if it was different from y'all. If y'all, I think it's neat when I come across what I would say are anomalies. Y'all are the exception. Oh, I learned this from an uncle. Oh, I learned this from my dad. I did this for me, etc. But I didn't. And if y'all have any insights there, I'd love to hear what they are. But to the top of the hour here, I've got just a few more minutes before I'm going to have to dip out. You let me know, how can I best next help you? Again, if you are catching this on the replay, get a hold of the book. Get a hold of us online if you'd like to talk. Book a private consultation call. Join us on our Facebook community on Facebook, Infinite Bankers. How best can I next help everybody that's here with me live? I would love to know, and I can share any best practices that I've picked up along the way. I'm still growing and learning. I love getting feedback from y'all, hearing what you have going on in your world, and everybody has been very participatory, and I appreciate that so far. Are there any Spanish speakers out there? There's a book for you as well. Folks that speak Spanish, they need to get a hold of this book. Conviértete en tu propio banquero. I got to brush up on my Spanish. I'm going to give it a minute, and then I'm going to be dipping out. I got to prep for this next phone call, but I'm here for you. I want to provide as much value as possible. I really do appreciate you being here. David, I appreciate you being here. Jake being here. Freda, giving me your feedback, letting me know. I'd love to hear, since you know who we are and where we are and what time you can find us next, which is next Thursday at the top of the hour, 12 noon. I'd love to hear what you've gotten to in the book, since you're going to be in the book. Love to hear, well, Jesse, this really stuck out to me. I love this. I'd love to hear, oh, I got to this page and I don't know about that. What is that all about? This is a great place to be able to field stuff like that for the benefit of everybody, of course. But let me know where you're at in the book and what's sticking out to you. Okay, I'm hearing from Nancy on Instagram. I appreciate knowing that you are here very much. Nancy, did you have any questions? Did you have any comments? Let me know. We'll get that in the comment section addressed. You might have liked that I was sharing some about because I know you speak Spanish as well. You and I were on the phone earlier. We had a call earlier today, an interview. I'm looking forward to releasing that. We were talking some about this and how the Spanish-speaking community needs to know what we know. They need to know about being their own banquero or banquera like you are. Freda, you're welcome. I appreciate the birthday wish. I don't look 40. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You'll let us know. Beautiful. That's always my strongest encouragement. We put a lot of effort here at the Cash Compound into facilitating value in our Facebook community, in these lives, in our evergreen content that you can find on all of our channels. Same for me personally at DurhamTalents.com and on my YouTube channel. But the book itself, that's the place to always go back to. Go to that original source material for yourself. You know, it's not my idea. It's not my book. I'm just a beneficiary of somebody else putting A and B together and coming up with all the other letters of the alphabet for us when it comes to personal finance. And it's really changed how me and my family, me, Jesse Durham from North Carolina, how I do things. And then all the way to include what I'm doing here in South Carolina at the office today, here at the Cash Compound, having conversations with you. I mean, just think, if I'd have not started that journey because Nelson hadn't written a book and codified this whole concept, we wouldn't even be having a conversation on the interwebs like we are today. So that's pretty cool. And I appreciate it. All right, guys, this is me tapping out. My hope, I say, is that you learn to live and leave a lasting legacy. Here at the Cash Compound, we help people save and spend money at the same time through this infinite banking concept. Follow up with us where it best suits you, and I'll see you next time. My name's Jesse Durham. Have a great day. Take care.
You are now tuned to the banking bro. Said we couldn't make it, drink or settle, this the life we chose. Gave a lot of game, we never got a lot of things. Bow your head and say the prayer, we taught you how to be the bank.